Hi, I'm James Woodcock from jameswoodcock.co.uk, and today will hopefully be the first of a few video commentaries about subjects that take my interest. The one today I start with is actually a little bit of sad news. So Logitech have announced that their Harmony remotes are basically becoming a thing of the past. So Logitech are quoted as saying on the Engadget website, "While Harmony remotes are and continue to be available through various retailers, moving forward Logitech will no longer manufacture Harmony remotes." They continue to say, "We expect no impact to our customers by this announcement. We plan to support our Harmony community and new Harmony customers, which includes access to our software and apps to set up and manage your remotes. We also plan to continue to update the platform and add devices to our Harmony database. Customer and warranty support will continue to be offered." So, for quite a few years now, I've been using this Elite remote control, which comes with a nice Logitech hub with it as well to control the devices. And one of the things I loved about this, instead of having a ridiculous amount of remote controls by my side, ready at any moment to jump into and select whichever hardware device I wanted to trigger, this replaced all of that nonsense. So, for one thing, my partner was always a little bit more happy with me not having a line of remote controls on my settee sofa arm. It was just this one. And to be honest, I brought it as well because I quite liked the idea. It had its own little screen. I could select activities, pre-program and set it up how I wanted. And hopefully my partner would be able to operate everything just as easily. And that was the key. Giving my partner 8 remote controls to deal with was probably not something that she was going to enjoy or even want to try and learn. And she loves technology, but she doesn't want to go so in depth as to understand what each remote does independently to control each device, which remote belongs with which device, and you can imagine the conversations, can't you? So I got this a few years ago, and I've been loving it myself, and she finds it easy to use as well, which is great. But then Logitech dropped this bombshell today, and I was saddened by it. And they haven't released any new hardware in quite some time, which is disappointing. And although I had no intention of changing what I had, I would have recommended this to family and friends without hesitation. And it's got its quirks. So although it's a universal remote, it can operate with lots of different devices all at once with some pre-programmed functionality. It certainly has its quirks. So let me give you a few examples of the quirks, and then I'll talk about one of the things I actually really love about this remote control. So first of all, the main quirk for me always was it doesn't actually know the state of your hardware devices. So what do I mean by that? So if your TV is switched on, if this remote is not the one to trigger your TV to be switched on, it has no idea. It only knows from the programmed activity if the TV is on or off. And that's only been predefined by whether in that routine you've told through this remote that the TV is going to be on at this point. Otherwise, it's got no idea. Your TV could be off, it could be on, it could be set to this channel, it could be set to this volume. It has no idea unless this is the thing that set it to be that way. So it's going from its own history of what's been sent over as a command to work out what the current state is of your hardware device. This can sometimes lead to some confusing changes. So if it happens to have missed a command, your TV or your surround sound receiver or your gaming console or Blu-ray player, then that synchronization is out of step. So something else might not trigger because something might have needed to have triggered first before that other thing. So if it missed the power on command, for example, for your Blu-ray player, your Blu-ray player, for whatever reason, didn't pick it up on that one occasion. And it does happen from time to time. 99% of the time it picks up fine, but there'll just be that one time it doesn't, and you can't always explain why. Then the following step can't occur because your Blu-ray player is still off. And the remote doesn't care. It thinks, I've told it to be on, therefore it is on. So every following command will then be junk for that Blu-ray player because if it's not on, it can't then eject or play or whatever else. So that's an unfortunate side effect of using a universal remote, it just doesn't know the hardware state your devices are at unless it's been the thing to do it. So if you do have 8 other remote controls, don't use them. Just use this so you don't have that out of synchronization problem. That was always the first thing. Not a major deal breaker. And there is actually a nice little thing here where you've got a cog and you can click help and it will rerun those predetermined steps again to make sure that thing has turned on, that thing has changed to channel or HDMI input to or whatever. But it's a quirk nevertheless. The other thing to note is a lot of HDMI devices have like a HDMI Connect functionality. So that means if your Blu-ray player supports this HDMI Connect protocol, and so does your TV, if you've enabled it in the options of each device, that means conceivably with your standard TV remote control, you could operate also your Blu-ray player or Amazon TV stick, which I've actually done on other TVs in the house I have. But if you do that, again, you're causing that out of synchronization step because something else is controlling it other than that. So you have to disable that on your devices just to save your confusion as well as the remote controls confusion. Another little quirk and side effect is if you've ever used ARC or eARC. So what this basically means is you've got the video output HDMI from your surround receiver. So the video is coming out your receiver into the TV. And that's how so you've got your HDMI input devices. Maybe you've got your Xbox console plugged into your surround receiver. And that surround receiver is then sending that video into your TV. And that's how most people will have it set up. But how do you get the TV sound into the sound receiver? You can use maybe optical cable. Well, that's fast becoming a thing of the past as a connection type. Or you can use ARC or eARC, which is just an extended version of that. But that'll actually send the audio from the TV to the receiver over the same cable that's also sending information from your surround receiver to the TV. So you're sending data both ways, essentially, rather than just it being an output. The problem with this is you also need the HDMI Connect functionality to work and to be on for ARC to work. So that means it tries to control the devices as well. So if I wanted to use the built-in Netflix app and I wanted to send the Dolby Atmos sound, which is the fantastic all singing, all dancing audio surround format, to the surround receiver from the TV's built-in Netflix app, well, technically I can do that, but again, all the synchronization goes out of step and it confuses the remote. So I'm actually using an Apple TV for Netflix and things like that. But then this brings me on to why I love the universal remote. So not only is it I can replace 8, 10 remote controls, whatever, with just this one, I got an Apple TV probably about 18 months ago. The box is fine. The hardware is fine for the box itself. The apps are good. But then they ship this abomination with it. And Apple are renowned for their hardware and how splendiferous it is. And how well thought out it is for customer simplicity and interaction. But then they released this. And I'm sorry, there's no other way of saying it. Pile of crap. It's just an awful, awful remote. And I didn't realise how bad it was until this ran out of power. So as soon as I got the Apple TV hardware, I automatically, instinctively set it up with my universal remote control and didn't think about it again until this ran out of power and I had to put it on charge. But I wanted to use my Apple TV, so I resorted to going back to the standard remotes. So after I scavenged my TV remote, surround sound remote, and the Apple TV remote, you can already see why I'm using universal remote control now, can't you? Using this was just eye-opening to how bad it is. So instead of Apple going, yes, we've had remote controls with up, down, left, right, and select for years, let's do it differently. Let's put a touchpad on it. Sounds good in principle, but I'm forever skipping over the app selection I want because it goes too fast or too far, or it's not moving at all. Now, I'm sure this is not just me that's experiencing this annoyance with this remote, but It's just a horrible thing. I never want to have to use this remote ever again. And this means I don't have to. So that was a nice little bonus, that I don't have to use some of the terrible remotes that can be released with some hardware. So yes, the end of the Logitech remote controls, in the sense of new ones being released, and it looks like they're not replenishing any stocks either. So get in while you can. But then that does bring us to the software support, doesn't it? Because it has an app to set everything up. So hopefully they are going to honour their statement and keep this going for years to come. And importantly, also add new hardware devices to their long list of current ones. If a TV comes out, which is slightly different programming code, well, if the app doesn't have that information, you're stuck. And that is a bit of a concern for me going forward. But it also means, what are the alternatives to the universal remote controls? I've gravitated towards Logitech. I've always recommended Logitech based on my positive experience with them. So feel free to leave in the comments what you think would be a good alternative to this universal remote control going forward, because it's now really hard to recommend Logitech if they're pulling out of that area, even though they're saying there's going to be continued support. So yes, my love for Logitech and universal remotes continues, but it's going to be a little bit strained knowing that they're not going to be manufacturing anymore, and that is sad. So I guess I have to do the YouTube spiel now. Thank you for watching my video. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to watch more, blah 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 blah. But generally leave a comment also, because I would love to hear what you think about this video and what you think about these remote controls, what are the alternatives. Maybe you do something completely different. Tell me about that too. For now, this is James Woodcock from jameswoodcock.co.uk, signing off.